As covered in the Mixer Basics tutorial, each audio or return track in Ableton Live has the ability to host built-in Ableton Live audio effects or any third-party VSTs or audio units in the effects insert, also known as the device chain. We can add any of Ableton's built-in effects from the Audio Effects tab of the Ableton browser by selecting, then dragging and dropping onto the desired track. Each built-in Ableton Live effect also has factory presets associated with it. We can access these by clicking on the arrow beside the effect name, which in turn displays all associated presets of an effect. We can then add these to a track's device chain by dragging and dropping. Effects can be moved to change their position in the chain. Remember, the audio signal flow moves left to right. Effects can also be copied and pasted to other tracks. You may also rename audio effects. Before we look at third-party plugins, let's ensure that our preferences are set to that of the Preferred Ableton Preferences PDF sheet. Under the Look Feel tab, ensure that Multiple plugin windows is set to on, Auto Hide plugin windows is set to on, and Auto Open plugin custom editor is set to off. We must then allow Ableton to scan all third-party plugins. We do so by accessing the File folder tab in Preferences. Then, ensure that Use Audio Units is set to on, Use VST plugin system folders is set to on. Ableton will then scan for any third-party plugins in your system locations. If you install any plugins in the meantime, Ableton will recognize them on its next startup, or press Rescan. Remember, audio units are Mac only. VSTs are PC and Mac. Any third-party audio effects you have installed on your computer can also be added to audio or return tracks in the same fashion by accessing the Plugins tab of the Ableton browser, selecting, and then dragging and dropping onto the desired track. Once a third-party plugin is in a device chain, we can show and hide the plugin's GUI or window by toggling the Plugin Edit button. You can also have multiple plugin windows open from various tracks, which will display depending on the track you have selected. To gain quick access to third-party plugin parameters for MIDI mapping, which we'll cover in the MIDI for Theater playback tutorial, and to include third-party plugin parameters into recallable snapshots, which we'll cover in the CliffX Part 2 tutorial, click on the Unfold Device Parameters button. Then, select the Configure button. We can then click on any parameter in the plugin window, allowing Ableton to add the parameters to the device panel for extended access. Effects are a great way to shape the sound of your effect on the fly during rehearsal and tech week. As an example, during a cue to cue, we realize that the wind sound effect we've selected is too menacing for the context of the scene. We can quickly use an EQ8 to change the tone of the wind. In this example, we'll have music play out of a small, onstage practical speaker to appear as though it's emitting from an old prop AM radio. I can also use EQ8 to adjust to taste. All Ableton Live audio effects and third-party plugins used in this manner are non-destructive to your sound file, saving you edit and rendering time as you make adjustments live on the fly during your tech process. Another set of effects Ableton has access to is Max for Live. Max for Live effects are custom-made effects by either Cycling74, the company who makes Max MSP, Ableton Live, or the entire user base. The majority of Max for Live effects are free. You can download more from either the Ableton Live website or from maxforlive.com. Here, I will demonstrate using the LFO effect, also known as low frequency oscillator, to automate a parameter of another Ableton effect. Here, I will use an effect called Live Grabber, Parameter Grabber, in association with Grabber Sender, which are both available for free at maxforlive.com. I will then broadcast parameter data controlled by the LFO as OSC, or Open Sound Control, over a network to our video playback computer, where the video designer can then use this data in sync with the affected audio to control a parameter of a video effect.